Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have the last video for you in the French heavy line, the Tier 10, the AMX 50B Veteran. Now, it's called Veteran just due to the camo, otherwise it's just normal AMX 50B. The camo is the legendary camo which gives it the name Veteran. Now, we're going to have a look at the tech spec using blitzhanger.com as always. As we said before on this line, this is not a heavy tank. This is in fact, maybe a medium tank, although it is maybe more like a heavium than previous tanks because it does have some armor, which we'll look at in a second. Now the top gun is a 120mm gun, which is the same handling characteristics as the previous gun, so you're going to be used to it. DPM is 3000 damage points per minute, 400 damage points per round, 1200 burst damage on AP as you had in the previous AMX 5120. So same gun, similar handling, etc. 257mm of pen is the same, AP rounds 340mm with APCR, same as the previous tank, 65 with HE, so all the same as the previous tank. So the gun handling, gun characteristics are the same. Muzzle velocity is the same, 1067 without supercharge, increasing to 1387 with supercharge. I would use supercharge because you're going to be doing some sniping in this tank. Good news is the magazine is 4-second faster reload than the previous tank at 18 seconds, and as with the previous tank you have 3-second shell reload within the magazine. Now this tank is fast, mobile and agile like the previous tank. It also has a bit more armor, as we said at the beginning, and we will look at that when we look at the armor profile. Its forward speed is good. Gun depression is only 10 degrees, but it is an improvement from the previous tank, and it has 12 degrees in elevation. They are all better characteristics than the previous gun. As we said, it's fast, 50 kilometers per hour forward, 15 in reverse, so it's agile. It has decent power to weight ratio, decent reverse, so it's a pretty good brawler. Obviously not as good as a medium or light tank, but pretty good. Its concealment is very good, so when you're still, an enemy tank has to get in with 289, so almost 290 meters of you to see you. So it's pretty good concealment figures. Some armor, not quite a heavy, but better than the previous tank. As you can see front on here, it has more armor than the previous tank, and you will get some bounces front on. You're going to see a massive bounce in the gameplay we look at from the front, from this lip here that you see, the thing that looks a bit like Donald Duck sticking out the front. Now that I've said that, you probably can't unsee that. It does look like a bit like a duck at the front. You're going to see a massive bounce off that within the game play, so you can get some bounces, unlike the previous tank which had very little armor and almost impossible to get bounces. You can get some bounces on this, especially if you're against a lower tier, but even against the top tier, you're going to see me get a big bounce off a big VK round at tier 10. Now the armor profile, as I said, is better, but it still has the same vulnerabilities as the previous tank. So of course you have some armor at the front here. You have the Donald Duck lips, looks like Donald Duck wearing lipstick, as we said, but at the sides and back you are going to be very vulnerable, as you have been all the way up from the AMX 5100 at tier 8 up to the AMX 5120 at previous tier, and right up here, and you'll see what we mean now when we look at the armor profile. As with the previous tanks, your butt has this massive HEB round on the back of it, this big massive HEB sign. And this ass is going to get tapped, particularly if there's good players in your team, which there are when you play tier 10. A waffle tractor or a grill is going to roll you from 1200 alpha plus. Death Star, forget about it, you don't even want to know. 1600 maybe with a hash round, and that's a lot of pain, right? So you can lose 60 to 70 plus % of your hit points in one round, so be careful. View range is 208 millimeters on this, and a standard B is going to see you there for 25 meters earlier than you see him. He's going to light you up. Progreto the same, Progreto 65 is the same, so therefore you need to proceed with caution. Do not go out into the open unless you know where the big guns are. You are going to be tempted, because this tank is fast and mobile, to move, right? to go out into the open, to go into good firing positions, because like the previous tanks, this is effectively a mobile gun platform. It is effectively a platform that allows you to move a gun which can do 1200 to 1600 damage per burst, which is a very effective weapon to have on your team. But of course you are vulnerable, so don't move until you know where those big guns are, because it's a huge risk. And it can be quite frustrating if you get hit with the first round for 70% of your hit points. Your game is going to be very frustrating, and the game can be over before you really begin and get a chance to get this gun into the game. That said, you know, this tank can be effective. Now, it has an auto-loader, but it's not an automatic reload auto-loader like the Euro line and some of the tanks that have been introduced recently. So therefore, as with the previous tanks, the lesson is that your rounds are precious. You don't want to waste them. If you're in the Euro line and you fire a round, it automatically reloads and you're back to your full magazine. With this, you stay on 2. If you miss 2 rounds, you only have 1. And then you've got 18 seconds before you're ready to go again. So this is a, let's say, a weakness in this autoloader compared to the automatic reloading autoloaders. So you need to take note of that. Okay, so let's have a look at some gameplay. This is Supremacy map, it's Falls Creek, obviously tier 10, so I'm top tier. So I decide, because this tank is fast, mobile, I am going to go and support the meds. So I'm going to go to A. Now this is one of the advantages of this tank. You can go and support the heavies, you can go and support the meds, and light tanks you can play it as a tank destroyer if you want to, in that you can do a lot of damage from distance. It has a very good gun. If you're using supercharge, you're going to be very good at sniping. You want to keep safe at the start, bring your gun into play, so you really need to check the setup and then decide what's best to do. Here I've checked the setup, I've checked the number of medium tanks, number of light tanks in each team, and I decided I'm going to go and support my medium tanks at A. I can bring a lot of firepower into play. I have a very good gun, I can do a lot of damage, and I decide to start inflicting some pain on the enemy. And you can see there, first round through, I'm going to put through 2 more good rounds. I'm going to utilize my full magazine, do some damage. Really nice shot coming up here on the pattern. You can see here what I mean about the gun. It's really good gun handling, and you can really thread rounds through the eye of a needle. That was a really nice shot on the pattern. Looking to use my last round before I reload. By the way, I'm sure you know this already, particularly as you've played these tanks, these autoloader tanks from tier 8. But if you want to reload, if you've got 1 round left without firing a shot, just double tap on one of the round icons and you'll automatically reload. And you can see that's what I'm doing here. I said, by the way, in the previous video on the AMX 5120 that you should use downtime, time that you're inactive in the game, to reload to get your full magazine going, and that's what I've done there. So while I was capping, I'm going to be inactive, probably not going to fire any rounds, so I decided to double tap on the icon and get a full magazine reload. Then when I come out, then I have full magazine reload, which I can put some damage into the enemy. This is the bounce coming up here I told you about when we discussed the armor. You can see that on the top of the hill here, I've gone up to get some elevation, to get some shots off. You can see that Object 140 thinks a little bit about coming out on me, and there's that bounce I was talking about. And we can see that when we are on top of the hill there, that lip, that Donald Duck wearing a lipstick, is sticking out front. And that's what gives me the bounce off the VK there. And it was a massive bounce, and just to rub salt into his wound, I actually got a shot in on him as well. You can see now this Jagdpanzer's coming up. I do not get a bounce that time. I get a big smash into the side of me. Nobody really wants that, but again, look at how accurate that gun is. That is like a very small target, like a postage stamp on the Jagdpanzer. Get a nice round into him, another round through there in the IS-4, so I get a nice roll, fluff the last shot in the IS-4, it was a snapshot, just snap it off into him anyway. And now I'm going to go full reload. Now we're tanked down here, This game goes right down to the wire, by the way, and we'll have a look at that in a second. But I'm going to go and see what I can do here. I'm going to try to clear off the object, fluff that shot, but now I need to clear off him and then go deal with the object. I need to concentrate fire and deal one target at a time. Fluffing the shot in the object means that I actually now don't have the round that I could have used to kill him. And this is what I mean about why the rounds are precious in this. If I was in a Euro line, a Progretta or a Standard B, I would have had the round reloaded, right? And I wouldn't have. It doesn't matter if you waste it. With this, your rounds are so precious that you really can't waste them. You need to make every shot count, because when you don't, as I did there when I fluffed that shot, well, you see, I then need to wait a long time. And if that had been a different tank and I wasn't able to ram him using that frontal armour, that lip, this is also good for ramming. That actually enabled me to clear off that object, but otherwise that shot, that miss shot, could have been very, very damaging. Now we're into a game of cat and mouse. It's a 2v1 situation, but the VK, which is the guy we saw earlier who had a massive bounce on me, which actually in a way won the game for us and cost him the game. He's taken out my ally. I know he's on a big reload, so I just come along. And the drive wheel here right in the front is a really vulnerable part of any tank, so just put a round into him, clear him off, and the game over. Mastery badge delivered, 4.3k of damage, but more importantly 1.4k of XP, and as we've said before, XP is what delivers. Mastery badges should always be looking at your XP, not necessarily damage or number of kills. They contribute, of course, to XP, but they're only some of the factors that contribute. You can see here when we look at the efficiency that I damaged or spotted up nearly all of the enemy, and obviously those active movements, proactive actions within the game deliver a significant amount of XP. You can see here when we look at the XP for damage caused, but also XP for active actions is significant, and then the team bonus for winning. Get the Reaper, this is basically for kills on one shot at the end, which is the object, and the VK, and something else earlier on, right? Can't remember now. And then Top Gun, obviously for killing 4 enemy vehicles, and the Mastery badge as well, delivered for the AMX 50B. You saw there, good example of the strengths and weaknesses of this tank. Strengths, obviously, it's gun handling, etc. Weaknesses, that long reload, vulnerability on the sides, etc. So let's have a recap. This is not a heavy tank. It's a medium tank at best, although it does have a little bit more armor than its predecessor. It doesn't really have that much armor, especially at the back and the sides, as you saw when I took that round from the Jagdpanzer. It's agile and mobile though, gets around the map easily. As you saw there, it covered a huge amount of the map. Great gun handling, 3-second reload on per round, and then 18 seconds on the magazine, which is much better than the previous tank. 1347 meters per second muzzle velocity with supercharge. I'd recommend you get supercharge, it's important. Improved gun depression over the previous tank, which is good, but it's still not great. Has excellent traverse, which makes it an excellent brawler if you have a full magazine. If not, if you're down to one round, you're not an excellent brawler. You're quite the opposite, actually. So shell discipline and knowing how many shells is very important. You have 257mm of pen with AP rounds, and as we said, watch your sides and butt. You have very little armor, and HE guns in your tiers can really damage you, so be careful out there before you move out to the open. Music was Sancien, Danse Macabre, Offenbach, Orpheus in the Underworld, often known as the Can-Can, famous piece of music, and a great piece of music by French composers, which suits this French tank. So cheers Mush, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you found it useful, and I guess all that remains for me to say is pants off.